Welcome back. We're in the first round of playoff CFS Summer 2020, and TSM are currently down 0-2 versus the Golden Guardians. Now, Azael, it's not like nobody thought Golden Guardians couldn't win this series. I think this is expected to be the closest of the round one playoff matchups, but the manner in which this series is going is not exactly what I had in mind when I looked at this matchup on paper.
People didn't think they would be up 2-0. Almost everyone thought, even if it's close, probably still going to be TSM. There's potential for an upset, but it would be a close series. And just the way that the games have ended has been so shocking, where, especially in Game 1, it felt like TSM was really crushing it throughout the whole game. And then one bad team fight, get the Baron push, end the game. On this one, TSM clawing their way back in. Bjergsen with heroics in the base. They're about to get soul. Feels like they're in control. Triple TP, end the game, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's just these crazy endings that are so shocking and come out of nowhere. And those are really tough games to take. I think they take a really heavy mental toll because what are you supposed to do to adjust for that for the next game, right? Both these games, it's not like you can say it was unwinnable. I think that if there's anything, I want to see them mix up the support. I want to see them mix up their picks. You know, they're going to red side, so that is a big change. But self-counter picking yourself with Thresh into Morgana, you know, kind of seeding your lane in Game 1. Game 2, they get the Bard. The only ultimate I can remember having any impact that Treatz was able to land that game was the one at the tier 2 mid on Hauntzer, and that, like, Hauntzer was already dead, right? That was when he was already low. So both games, I feel like Treatz has been really ineffective. They are going to change things up. They're just banning the Morgana, getting rid of it, because TSM need to put themselves in a position, especially when they're prioritizing Caitlyn for first pick, to actually win the 2v2. And I think in both games they haven't done that. But now Golden Guardians are going to get their chance to have that first pick Caitlyn. And because TSM banned Morgana, they can't actually use the same answer here into that Golden Guardians bot lane. Because otherwise you could just go for Morgana Ashe, very similarly to what Golden Guardians has done. They are going to grab the Sett. They are going to go towards Thresh. So this is going to be their answer instead. They're not comfortable playing the Morgana very clearly. They're not comfortable playing in the Morgana. So I would still expect to see Ashe paired alongside it, but it will be a different look, and we'll see if Golden Guardians can win both sides of that bot lane matchup, having the Ashe and having the Caitlyn.
Yeah, certainly be a big statement here for FBI, who is a player that has looked up to Doublelift his entire career. Also a change here in the jungle, no Sett because it's taken by TSM, of course, so it's going to be that Graves who we're kind of hinting at. We saw Golden Guardians ban it a few times in Phase 2 and wonder where the Graves was going to be for closer, but he says, hey, Sett's banned, that's fine, I'll just take Graves. That was my plan all along.
Yep, grabbing that Graves, you know, that had been getting, you know, banned out sometimes in the previous games. Golden Guardians, the only ban that they actually changed is Zillion is left up. I'd be interested to see if TSM are willing to go towards that here. I don't think they will be, because I think if you don't go for your bot laner, then you're going to put yourself at a significant disadvantage down in that bot lane. Tahm Kench picked here as an answer to that Tahm Kench, so huhi just kind of has the answers to Tahm Kench ready to go. Ashe just makes sense, honestly. You know, it's kind of the most comfortable matchup you can have as a bot laner into Caitlyn. Caitlyn really does have a bit of an edge into everyone because TSM are not going for like a really lane dominant support like the Morgana themselves. They do really need to have that Ashe kind of battle it up against the Caitlyn. But I would say they have a pretty good lane matchup here. Tahm Kench doesn't have a lot of lane presence, but it can, you know, work very heavily to deny what TSM wants to do, and will still give FBI the freedom to try to get aggressive here.
Yep, certainly good against what TSM have in the duo lane. Like we see Tahm Kench and with Ashe a lot of the time. We also see Tahm Kench against Ashe for similar reasons. So will not be as easy for Golden Guardians 2v2 to find an advantage. So curious to see how the other side of this matchup plays out, as you and Probably on the desk were mentioning. Also, the expected mid lane bans are continuing. Very curious to see the global mid laners getting banned out now, given that both these players do like those champions a lot. So Galio there for TSM, Twisted Fate for Golden Guardians, and then Cannon banned away once again for Hauntzer. It seems like TSM have no interest at all in giving Hauntzer that champion.
He had an incredible game recently on that. Kennen, you know, really was able to land some fantastic ultimates, taking away a couple of more Bjergsen champions. Honestly, like, the Aurelia is Broken Blade, it's a flex, but this is essentially 5 bans towards mid lane. I mean, Bjergsen has been performing despite getting constantly target banned. You know, even if TSM are to get swept here, there's not a lot you can criticize about Bjergsen's performance. I think he has been fantastic in 2 games. You know, he blind picked his ear both times. Damonte had the counter. He was eating basically every single ban from Golden Guardians, and he's still doing the best of anyone on his team. So, you know, the rest of TSM do need to step up around them. I think in particular, Treatz needs to step up. He had been good for TSM in the regular season, but I don't think that Treatz has had, you know, very impactful games in either of the first 2. Even with that, though, TSM still have been in positions to actually win both these games, so it's not as though they haven't had a chance. They just haven't been able to execute when it really counted, and Golden Guardians has been able to find ways to circumvent their team fights and to find clever ways to actually end the game. Blind pick Mordekaiser here is interesting, and I'm going to be curious to see if Broken Blade is willing to go towards a more risky counter, something like the Jax that actually can, you know, outscale in the 1v1 and really start to run over the Mordekaiser. You know, I've seen this taken in the LPL. I've seen it played elsewhere. It is something where you can definitely outscale in the 1v1, especially if you want to build towards a little bit of magic resistance. Can be very powerful. They also can go towards, you know, something a bit more standard. The GP would work here. You can also orange out of the Mordekaiser ultimate, so that is an innate, you know, really beneficial thing for you there. But this does mean that there is going to be a mid lane set.
Yep.
So, you know, they don't have a lot of like guaranteed engage. You know, I'm kind of concerned for TSM's engage here. Can they actually find like a full-on hardcore fight? Because, you know, you have hook and you have arrow. And you have Bjergsen maybe finding a flank or an angle, but like Tahm Kench completely denies Ashe Arrow and Tahm Kench and the Thresh hook pretty easily. And you know, given that, I do think that, you know, as TSM, you won't win like just like a straight up 5v5 front to back. Like there should be such a good ability to actually kite back with Ori, as well as Caitlyn and Graves. You know, Mordekaiser ulting out one of the targets, even just like ulting someone like Nidalee, who's not going to stand much of a chance in the 1v1. Things could be concerning there. But, you know, TSM, I do think, you know, with this Thresh Ashe lane, with the GP on their side to try to help them around that bottom side, they have more tools to help them out in the 2v2. So we'll see if they can create advantages there and kind of just run the game through neutral objectives, which is kind of similar to what Golden Guardians' game plan had been the last couple times around.
Yeah, I think thinking about TSM in this series, though, I do agree that Treatz has certainly not had the best performance. I think he has been the worst performing member of TSM thus far in the series. And it is important to note, as we mentioned in Game 1, that he is new to playoffs. In fact, he's new to the LCS at all. He's coming from Academy pretty late into the split. I will say, though, that the other player we were worried about in Spica has actually looked quite good. He might actually be the second best looking member of TSM behind Bjergsen from what we've seen so far. And they are actually giving him agency here. Like, Nidalee is a pick that you have to be very sure about when you take it for your jungler, because it is so selfish and is quite early game oriented. Spica very capable on these types of champions, but I'm curious to see if he can find some sort of advantage with it, because if he doesn't, you don't really have the fallback plan of someone even like Sett, which can at least get an ultimate happening with a flank, even if you fall behind early.
And I mean, it is a big risk, right? This is the first time he's actually brought it out this entire year, not just summer. He didn't play it in spring either. So you are, you know, at the risk of getting swept here. They would still have the lower bracket awaiting them if they do get swept out in this series by Golden Guardians. But, you know, kind of a lot of faith being put into Spica here and his ability to perform on the Nidalee. Nidalee in North America in general has not done very well. It has been able to often get leads, you know, to create advantages in the early game, but people really struggle to close out the games. And let's be honest, that's what has been kind of happening to TSM in these last couple games. They have been able to get themselves into potentially winning positions, but not been able to actually close out the games. So, you know, I wonder how effective the Nidalee is going to be overall in the LCS. You know, it's been 4-8. It's obviously a small sample size, so it doesn't mean the most, but not a lot of people have really been winning on this champion.
It's interesting, right? Because Nidalee is one of those champions that is very common among North American junglers in pro and in high elo, right? They've all played it at some point. Like Blabber's known for his Nidalee, Speak was known for his Nidalee, Hard in Academy has been known for his Nidalee. Closer has played also in the LCS, although he's obviously not native to North America. Yeah, right? But yeah, when we see it in the LCS, it often doesn't go the way you want to, even if they do manage to get some leads. So a risk potentially, but it is cool to see Spica stepping up to the plate, being given this pick. And TSM are trying something here, but the bait will not be taken here by Golden Guardians, as TSM are going to recall out.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those picks that I think it's kind of like kind of like a classic scrim pick. You know, it's one of those champions that has the ability to snowball out of control, that has a dominating early game. Oh, TSM is actually just going to fight this.
Yeah, Bjergsen actually ghosting in. He's got Facebreaker. There's the double pull into hook. Good flash there for Hauntzer. And that's all they'll get out of that one.
They do end up getting the flash. That's still pretty big, though, because Hauntzer's going to have to play on the back foot. And he doesn't actually have time to base. So he's going to start down health, and Broken Blade even looking to be annoying here. But can't go too far because Closer has quick draw, and if he hits level 2, he can just run you down with the phase rush. But either way, good little advantage there taken by TSM. We'll see how things shake out down on the bottom side. Tahm Kench looking to invade and be a little bit annoying, dropping a ward there perhaps. No, it seems like he actually put one down. So he's just kind of trying to check where Nidalee was starting. And Spica will be starting leashless on that top side. The push early on going to be going to FBI because TSM had their members up on the top side for that potential play and did get a flash out of it, but it does mean that they're going to have to give up the push on this first wave.
I do just want to say, like, we talked a lot about Bjergsen and how well he's played this year in this split especially, but there's something really special to me about a player who, like, is known for his, like, Zed and Akali and, like, carrying on these control meters, but also is like, yeah, I'll take Sett, right? You know, give us some draft flexibility, beat up Damonte in the mid lane here. Like, Sett is not a pick that every mid laner is willing to play, let alone can play. But Bjergsen, I think, has been, playing a lot of Galio, a lot of Fate, has been willing to take a back seat as a carry, despite being a star carry player, in order to do what is better for his team.
He just wants to win, right?
Yes.
That is what I've learned about Bjergsen over the years. Anytime you talk to him, he will play. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if he's going to get 0 farm the whole game. If you think that's what it's going to be to win, if he has to sit under his turret and just be a support, if Janna mid is the best champion for him to win, that's what he's going to play, right? He's shown that playing Lulu mid. He's shown that playing full tank Galio, playing tank Fiddlesticks. This guy will play whatever he thinks is going to give him the advantage. And Damonte has started Cull, so he is a very squishy boy. Going to be taking a lot of punishment on those, and those trades look worse because he doesn't have the flat health from a Doran's item or anything. This is a riskier start, right? It's going to pay off if it's just a farm lane. And he took phase rush and he's playing against Sett, so he's basically saying, well, I would just kite you out. You won't be able to catch me. But thus far, Bjergsen has been getting some really nice trades and 1 or 2 more bad trades, and Damonte's going to be back to base early. And this Cull potentially is able to be punished here, and he's actually basing already because they don't necessarily know where Nidalee is, and if you get hit by a spear after a pull-in, that can be dangerous. He will cancel his base and try to farm this up, but Bjergsen already doing really well in this laning phase, and has been performing, as I said, very, very well throughout these 3 games. And they're looking to punish Hauntzer here. Going in, they are spotted by a ward, but at the very least, they'll zone him off some of this. They know Hauntzer had no flash, and if there wasn't a tri-brush ward there, Bjergsen could actually be the one to start that up, and they could probably go for the 3-man dive. So I like the attempt from TSM, trying to utilize that mid lane priority that they had, and it's something good to see.
Yep, that's all Sett wants to do, right? Push, get out of lane, and try and affect another lane here. We've seen Niski play this one already, this split in the LCS. So
it's getting trashed.
Ooh, that is accurate. 14 to 20 CS and counting as FBI and huhi, just slowly pushing this wave up here and zoning Doublelift and Treatz off this farm.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we do see, huhi is just, I feel like, playing so well throughout this series. Then his flexibility seems to be getting them a pretty big advantage. We have had him have the answer, and when blind picking, Treatz did not kind of have the answer. And to be fair to Treatz, we don't necessarily know whether the team is saying, like, we need Thresh for this later or whatever. We don't know the full reason for all the picks. The Closer up here on the top side, trying to deny Broken Blade from actually pushing this in. Would love to set up a freeze here for Hauntzer if he could, but either way, huhi has been coming out better as far as the picks go, and really performing well. And Golden Guardians, him and FBI have been playing great, and these guys are at a pretty big advantage thus far.
Bjergsen gonna get surprised here by Closer, but Sett gonna be more than fine there. Bjergsen just pops the haymaker and walks away. Still a good bit of attention paid there by Closer. Make sure Damonte can get that wave pushed in, and maybe if Bjergsen does something silly, which is extremely unlikely, they can get a kill.
Yeah, it's possible, and I think he's basically just looking to farm bot side, so he's like, well, why not? Do a little drive-by mid. If Bjergsen messes up, you kill him. If he doesn't, you do a little bit of damage. Who cares? He's not really trying to hide where he's going. But Golden Guardians, again here pushing in. This is actually the biggest lane advantage they've had of the 3 games. Even the first game, TSM did handle it a lot better with that Thresh. now TSM looking to actually move to punish this. Bjergsen has mid lane priority, but Shockwave was just used by Damonte, and they're battling it out here, trading ults.
Yeah, Bjergsen actually going in there. The Haymaker doing a hefty amount of damage. Bjergsen looking for the solo kill, but doesn't quite grab it. Still, Golden Guardians finishing this dragon. They are committing to it, and they do get it. Spica now diving in, but he has to go away. Takes the lantern for Treatz. Now huhi going to be the target, but he does flash out. Good GP ult though for Broken Blade. Doublelift, can he line it up? The volley might be all they need to finish off the first blood here, but nobody in range. So everybody's going to walk away, and Golden Guardians do get the objective.
Well done by that, man. It seemed like Spica was kind of splitting the difference. He was cheating towards mid lane in case he wanted to try to help out Bjergsen, but decided not to commit towards going towards Damonte. And you know, it ends up being Bjergsen blowing his flash. You know, in the extended fight, they don't kill off mid. They don't steal the dragon. So Golden Guardians handling this very well. Right now, it is bot lane pretty heavily in the favor of Golden Guardians. Doublelift does have TP this game, but he TP'd. What did he just? I think he messed up. I think he just didn't buy. He accidentally didn't buy, and that to me smells like tilt. He came back with boots. He had enough farm. He should have had a BF buy there, and I don't even know. Maybe he meant to like upgrade his boots, or maybe he meant to get boots and a pickaxe. Yeah, he has BF. That's a big deal. That's your summoner wasted, and now you're actually stuck in lane because your recall got stopped. Even if he got the base off there, he would have lost plates. That is bad. They're already getting trashed in this lane, and that looks like Doublelift is tilted.
Yeah, I mean, FBI is also adding insult to injury. I think he has emoted every wave at least once. And, I mean, that goal difference between the two ADs is already, what, 300 or 400 between the two. Add, 1250 on top of that for the BF that Doublelift is missing. And that is monumental at this stage in the game. And, yeah, that is... I mean, Doublelift's going to have to recall.
So now they're going to lose at least another turret. He's going to lose another 6 CS. Like... This is them just getting crushed. That's going to be 27 CS as he'll lose the entire wave to the tower at 8 minutes. That is really bad for TSM. When you're already mentally shaken, when you are down 2-0 in 2 winnable games, you've had some frustrating ones, albeit some of it is champion picks and the way that the game is going. This is not how TSM wanted this to go, and for this to happen here in Game 3 is pretty devastating for them.
Yeah, Damonte even going to roam over, has the blue buff already, pushes up mid, going to help close and get the Rift Herald, so that will be another objective picked up here by Golden Guardians. As the Herald does go down, Treatz and Doublelift trying to roam up now, see if they can get some info. Spica at least is going to farm away the enemy Raptors. Nidalee very efficient when it comes to farming, and counter jungling is no exception. Huhi going to ride in on the Abyssal Voyage. Looks like he's bringing Closer back down to this bottom half of the jungle here.
Yeah, so it's just going to be able to bring him down there to help to keep that farm speed up, but nothing much being expended. It is going to be another buy there for FBI. We'll see if Doublelift wants to just try to freeze this. I'm not sure if he has the freeze set up. It's hard to see when he's kind of covering his own minions there, but Broken Blade being pushed on the top side. Things still going well here for the GP, and the gold is still very close, but clearly it's going to be pretty concerning when Ashe is basically your consistent damage, right? Like GP can burst, GP can be strong there. Nidalee is much more conditional. You're expecting Bjergsen to go full tank. He's not playing Azir this game. It doesn't matter how well Bjergsen plays. He cannot bail TSM out in the same way that he has in some situations in the previous game, by just taking over a fight, right? You can get the great engage, but you need damage to be there to follow it up. And honestly, most of that is on Doublelift, because he's the only one playing that true high DPS carry here on the Ashe, and even Ashe is kind of like a little bit more utility. But we'll see if they can set anything up here. They are trying to look to set up a 4-man dive. Golden Guardians have sniffed it out, though. Pink ward is dropped. They're going to back it up. They are threatening the dive, though. They will clear this out and get Doublelift a little bit of help there, zoning off FBI from a couple minions and potentially grabbing a second turret plate.
Damonte also down here with Closer, so everyone's just going to call off the play and they'll return to their respective places. FBI still up 20 CS as these two waves are going to meet, and FBI is really going for the lane here. I mean, skipped boots, has a dagger, has a pickaxe now as well. He's basically relying on huhi's Merc Treads and the Devour to be the speed he needs to get out of any situation, and he's not very interested in getting out of situations, to be perfectly honest. He wants to just keep moving forward and shooting the enemy laner.
And they have the Herald, so you always got to be nervous about the potential for them to just walk it in and drop that. was looking like they were potentially thinking about doing it, but at the very least, Closer kind of clears that ward, covers them on a push here. There are 2 wards there from TSM, so there is the potential for Broken Blade to look for a TP if they kind of overextended. Remember, Bjergsen is not playing teleport. You know, this is Ghost Flash on the Sett, as well as Phase Rush, so very heavily committing to the move speed. You expect him to go Bomby, Cinder, people like that really quite a lot for the laning and for the proc, and then generally speaking into Deadmans just for more of that move speed. So we'll see if they want to try to contest here around this second dragon, and the Golden Guardians did get the first. They're dropping Herald mid, and it's probably just going to secure them the dragon, because Broken Blade is basing right now. TSM still have to defend this Herald, and the dragon's already dying. So will be a second one, 2 Golden Guardians. It's not time for panic just yet if you are TSM, but generally speaking, they're going to be forced into fighting the next dragon, whether they're ready to do it or not. So for TSM, they are hoping to be in a good spot to do it. They're hoping to hit those item completions in the next 5 minutes, or they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, certainly the timer is on now as Golden Guardians to take that second Drake. Also, Abyssal Void used by huhi to get FBI straight back down to the bottom lane to continue building that advantage. Gold lead is up 1,000 right now for Golden Guardians, and that really just is sitting in the farm. But it's pretty impressive given that there's a GP on the enemy team that's farming even with the Mord as well. So Golden Guardians certainly looking good in these early 12 minutes, but a lot more game to play here, and as you mentioned, it's a lot more about the objectives this time. As Spica does continue his counter-jungling rampage, going to take the Grump away from Closer's jungle, as Hauntzer will spot him, but not in time to contest for the camp.
Yep, nice enough by him there. Also got to note that the cull is already cashed out, so some of the bonus gold in the lead is just from that cull. Obviously, some plates have kind of gone over in the bottom lane. 2 plates went mid lane because of that Rift Herald. So that's where we're seeing some of the farm differences. Bjergsen, as expected, is working towards the Deadmans next. Doublelift, thankfully for him, does have the Essence Reaver. So this is crit Ashe. This is not Blade of the Rune King, more that kind of dueling style. This is a higher DPS build, generally speaking. And the CDR can be quite valuable if you're playing more of that utility role too, having the extra cooldown reduction for those ultimates. But they are making the move towards topside very early here. There's no Rift Herald up, and this does mean you're going to give up guaranteed plates on the bottom side to Caitlyn. Broken Blade, does have his ultimate if they want to try to cover that, but I don't know if they can actually make this play, right? Like, it's Mordekaiser defending here, so I don't really understand the swap unless they just feel like they can't compete in the 1v1, but it seems strange because topside's going fine with the GP. You have Essence Reaver completed, for the Ashe, so it's not as though you shouldn't be able to lane bot side. So it does feel a little bit weird, and overall, you're going to see the farm numbers probably falling down here for TSM as a result. But we'll see if they can outrace this Caitlyn and grab themselves first turret at least.
Spica's here as well, so TSM really just racing for these plates here, and it's kind of wild to think that you just said the words like feel like they can't compete in the 2v2, because that's not something we would have potentially said at the start of this series. Yeah. Given how FBI and huhi have been playing, especially given the pedigree of at least the marksmen they're playing against, that is very impressive for the Golden Guardians.
What is this swap?
I don't
Honestly, know. Like that swap was trash. It's just like you swapped your bot lane top and you kept your GP there, and you gave up solo turret plates and solo turret to the Caitlyn, who was already ahead, to split farm between your GP and your Ashe when Rift Herald isn't even there. You aren't even able to threaten the Mordekaiser on a dive because guess what? He's Mordekaiser and just ult someone to take a 1v1 under his tower. So yeah, gotta be honest, I just think that was absolute garbage play from TSM, and it's kind of strange to watch. It does feel like they are a little bit mentally shaken here. I mean, they're still in this game, don't get me wrong, but after 2 games where I think they probably were pretty frustrated by the results, by how they ended, it does feel like they are slipping as far as their gameplay in this third game.
And to translate what this gets FBI as a result, because he is still ahead, he's finished his IE, which kind of matches the Essence Reaver that Doublelift has finished, so the IE is of course a bit more expensive. Got the upgraded tier 2 boots, same as Doublelift, and an extra crit cloak as well. So FBI is not messing around, and this is the part of the game where Caitlyn is typically not that good, right? She's pretty good early, she's very good scaling of course, but FBI is going to have a very smooth transition of 2-3 items here. The Rift Herald number 2 goes the way of Golden Guardians as well, as Closer's going to pick that up, and TSM, they're sticking together. I feel like they're trying to just pick somebody off, and Golden Guardians are just giving them nothing and slowly getting further and further ahead.
Yeah, TSM don't have the Azir. They don't have this kind of mid lane monster team fighter on Bjergsen that is just gonna outscale and have a chance to 1v9. You're going tank mid lane Sett. You don't have wave clear. You're a scrappy champion who is really successful in skirmishes early on generally, who can find fights and find angles and use your tankiness and your high base damage to be very effective in the early and the mid game. TSM have kind of just seeded everything throughout the early and the mid game, so we'll see if they can win this next Dragon fight. I honestly feel like the game is going to be decided in this next Dragon. I think if TSM lose it, they are in a world of trouble. It's always possible to come back. It's always possible to change things around, but I feel like so much is hinging on this Dragon fight, because if you allow Golden Guardians, who are just cruising in this game right now, to put themselves at sole point here at 16 minutes, that is going to be incredibly hard to come back from.
Yeah, and it feels like if game one was the one that kind of swung the momentum, hold that thought, FBI in potential trouble, back to huhi he goes, and he's fine. huhi just holds the Devour. Knows he doesn't have to use the cooldown. Hauntzer's poking away, gets his claw out, and Closer's going to drop the Herald again. I feel like I've seen this play 5 minutes ago when they took the last Dragon.
Yep, they'll drop this mid, but TSM does have all 5 here, so they clearly are planning on fighting, and they maybe caught someone.
Bjergsen in, but he's in a little too deep. Still, they have to get a kill. No, they can't just yet. Treatz going to be forced to flash out Hauntzer. He's going to put Bjergsen in the death realm, and first blood's going to go to FBI, second blood's going to go to Damonte, and third blood's going to go to FBI as he grabs the double kill.
It's smelling like a sweep, pastry time. Golden Guardians crush TSM in that fight. They'll put themselves at soul point. They are going to be about 4,000 gold ahead when it's all said and done. They got the mid lane tower there as well. And TSM are looking like they've got nothing left in the tank here. They don't have the ability to just sit back and outscale. You're playing Nidalee and Sett. You're not going to have the same team fighting power that this Graves Orianna are going to have. They don't have the same level of engage even, they've had in some of the previous games with the Orin. You're going to be so dependent upon Ashe arrows and Thresh hooks, and this is Tahm Kench to stop all this. Golden Guardians are just cruising, and TSM are looking like they can't put up a fight in this third game. Yeah,
for how well FBI has played this series so far, huhi has been the one beside him this whole time, and he has been so good transitioning to support. But let's watch this again. And let's highlight huhi, because he did a lot of work here to ensure the team fight went their way.
Definitely did. Bjergsen flashing in, but huhi is already there with Devour. Bjergsen is trying to get behind someone for a grab, but guess what? Hauntzer ulted. He can't do anything about that. So it was a good attempt from Bjergsen, but Hauntzer has been so good with his Mordekaiser ults. He destroyed TSM in game 1 with the Mordekaiser ults. Here he is again, single-handedly denying the engage, because if Bjergsen gets behind, the Ashe or the Orianna or someone like that, or the Graves even, and dunks them in, they probably just insta-die and TSM can maybe win that fight. Instead, he puts Bjergsen into an unwinnable 1v1 as a full tank Sett into that Mordekaiser and protects his carries in the same move. So Hauntzer having a fantastic series here for Golden Guardians, and TSM, they have about 3:45 on the clock here until it is going to be soul point that they have got to look to fight. They have created no advantages. They just have looked completely out of sorts here in this third game, and Golden Guardians are crushing them. They are looking dominant and really showing up on a level that I don't think anyone expected them to. I think people were saying, the upset potential is there, but will they do it? Probably not. I think that was the general consensus here for Golden Guardians, but not only are they looking like they can pull off this upset, they're looking like it's easy. They're crushing TSM.
Yeah, and to think about why, right? It's for both these teams, I think especially more so for Golden Guardians, you're inconsistent, right? Very good at getting leads. Not as good at closing them out, especially in the first half of the split. And while they have been better in the back half for sure, I think people were just worried that, like, in a long best-of-5 series against two of the most experienced players in the entire league. In fact, TSM have one of only 2 players that have played in literally every single split of the LCS, the other being Wild Turtle. You just assume that experience in a long series like this is going to win out, despite having a mix of, older and younger players on either side of the rift. And as the series has gone on, it just hasn't mattered. As FBI is going to get himself arrowed. huhi there again, though, with the assist. But there's Bjergsen going to knock him back in. So now FBI is going to be forced to flash out. huhi, goodbye, my friend. You are going to be sacrificed. No, he's going to get out of there.
Here's
and now
Hauntzer
finds the wraparound. huhi's still alive. He's just so annoying. And FBI can step forward again. Hauntzer wants to put somebody in the death throne, but nobody from TSM wants to join him. And all the while, Damonte is just pushing top lane.
Couldn't kill a single person with that engage. It was a good attempt at the fight. They get some flashes down. Bjergsen dunking both huhi and FBI, who was in his belly, back in. That was well played, but yeah, Golden Guardians have just been equal to it. You know, the first 2 games took a little bit of magic from Golden Guardians to be able to pull out some wins from some unlikely scenarios, but this game has been about Golden Guardians dominating, and they are looking like they have a little bit of a date with history here as Golden Guardians looking to win their first ever best of 5, their first ever playoff series as a franchise. Yeah. And Doublelift hasn't lost a best of 5 in, I believe it was 4 years.
Yep.
So it's been a long time since he's exited from playoffs, and you know, probably even longer than that since he exited in the first round down to that lower bracket. You know, they wouldn't be eliminated. He would still be able to have the opportunity to climb his way back up, and TSM as a whole would have that opportunity. But still, just even losing in this first round is very unexpected for this team who, you know, it has performed just really well over the last couple weeks. They've been looking really good in the LCS, and you know, almost were able to get themselves up to a potential tiebreaker for the bye. You know, they had a very close game against TL, which if they won that, they would have had the tiebreaker against C9. They lost that to TL, which then meant they lost the head-to-head tiebreaker to FlyQuest as a result of FlyQuest beating them in the regular season. And that bumped them down to 4th, put them in against Golden Guardians. But people still had them favored, and they haven't been able to make it happen. Golden Guardians is just looking so good. Yeah,
I mean, we're 42 seconds away from the game going from, well, you said it is probably over, you know, once they take that 3rd dragon. It's almost assuredly over if they snowball into this soul in 30 seconds time. And TSM, they know what they have to do. They certainly don't like it, but they are going to have to contest in a 5v5 down a pretty substantial amount of gold here.
Yep, they need a miracle, right? You need to find some way to get a pick on someone without huhi saving them. And that is going to be damn tough. They need to have, you know, Bjergsen, you know, dunking someone in out of huhi's range, or catch an Ashe arrow onto someone and kill them off before he can get there. But huhi has no flash. Maybe they can punish here. And Bjergsen is on the flank.
Yeah, looking for the wraparound. Damonte on the other side. They're going to go for FBI. They know they need to kill him. They will get the shut down. huhi also running away. He's going to get hooked up by Treatz. Make it 2 now for TSM. That's what they need. Bjergsen low, but he's not out just yet. He pops the Haymaker. Hauntzer trying to finish him off, but he's not going to get it. A 3v5 now around the Dragon Pit for Golden Guardians.
And we'll see, do they actually just commit to this? Bjergsen is looking for the wraparound here. He wants to potentially threaten this. Closer is in the back. He still could get this smite steal. So Bjergsen is trying to get over there, trying to threaten him, but he knows if he gets too close, Closer will just kill him. So he's got to kind of play this dance.
Oh, he's in. He's going for it. Oh, he gets a double kill. Is he going to get the dragon as well? It's going to be close, but no, it's, oh my god, Hauntzer. He's the one that gets the dragon. And now he's going to chase down Doublelift. Golden Guardians in a literal 3v5 are going to walk out with the soul, and how many more kills? Oh! 1 more for Hauntzer with the Proto Bell. 2 left alive for TSM. And that was the best they got, and it still wasn't good enough.
Hauntzer, what a monster. What a player here, coming up big. Almost knocks down multiple members at the very end there. He was just a stiff breeze would have killed off Broken Blade, but as you said, this was a 3v5 from that scenario. And great hook here, right into the spear. They know huhi has no flash. Look at this ult, though, from Hauntzer. Ults Bjergsen right as he flashes for the clap onto FBI, but he was Ashe arrowed split from huhi, so that was the kind of miracle situation I was talking about them needing. They needed huhi to be separated from the person that they needed to CC on, and they got that. But then you see that Bjergsen is fairly low. It is the 3v5 situation. You still think they should be able to have this. Smite is available for Spica. They should be able to focus this down, but instead, they're sending just Bjergsen around here. I don't understand why they weren't looking for a fight. You have Flash as well as Exhaust on your support here. They're not able to actually find any sort of engage. They just fly in on top. Shockwave, plus you have Closer coming in, landing all that damage. Hauntzer is the one that gets the dragon, and in this 1v3, takes down Doublelift, almost burning it down. Broken Blade again. We are back to live. Nice sidestep on that arrow, but getting shot.
Spica tanks of it. There's no one really to hit it. And I did see that Damonte had Shockwave, and I just found out when he used it. That was the setup that needed Closer to give Closer that double kill, that turned that entire situation around. So everyone from Golden Guardians is showing up to play today. I think Hauntzer has had a stellar series. I think FBI and huhi have looked great, but it is a full team effort. What is looking like a 3-0 of TSM in the first round of playoffs.
It is. They are really showing up when it matters. I mean, big Shockwave, a Closer landing the combo. Hauntzer has been monstrous on Mordekaiser over both of the games, but why is TSM not just fighting that? Why risk the 50-50 when you have a 5v3? Your support, your engaged support, there's no Tahm Kench on the other side because he's dead. You have Flash and Exhaust. you know, where's that killer instinct from Treatz, from the rest of TSM? Why not flash in and take that fight 5v3, look to kill them all, look to take the dragon? If they all die, maybe you get Baron. Maybe that's a way back into the game. Instead, they play it passively, and Golden Guardians are the ones that punish, crush TSM, take the soul, and maintain a gold lead here.
Yeah, 3 items for FBI, 2.5 for Damonte. A Ghostblade now for Closer, who we haven't really been keeping as much track of, but is also a legitimate threat as far as damage dealers go. And Hauntzer, he's working on his 3rd item. It's not going to be too far away as FBI is going to clean out the wards around the Baron Pit. TSM now have to respond to another threat. There's going to be Elder Dragon to contest for in 3 minutes' time. Damonte's approaching level 16, so he's going to go ahead and meet Bjergsen here in the top lane.
Yep.
And Damonte actually...
Gotta run.
Yeah, pops the Ghost, has to go away. Damonte's still going, pops the W there. Here's Abyssal Voyage. Flash, Shockwave, Bjergsen pulled back. He has 3 members of Golden Guardians now. 2 for TSM, but this is not a fight they really want to take. Bjergsen just gets crit by FBI, and he's deleted as TSM going to have to run under their tower.
Down he goes. I mean, this is the thing. When you get to the late game as this tank Sett, all you are is an enabler. You need the strong carries behind you. You need the follow-up behind you. And Doublelift looking for a pick here on Hauntzer, but Hauntzer could just turn and kill him. He's got no QSS. You're dead.
Yeah, I don't fancy that at all. Hauntzer's going to get the trade kill. He's going to turn back around to Broken Blade. See if he can get the 1v2 done here as Hauntzer still fighting, but Broken Blade will take him out. But still, the top side of the map is cracked open completely as Golden Guardians will smash down that inhib. And they're just going to end the game right now.
Yeah,
4v3. Spica is doing what he can. Treatz is here. Finds the hook there on FBI. That's a very critical one to get, but huhi with the Devour once again is going to spit him out. The next is open. This looks to be it. Damn history, damn pedigree. Golden Guardians looking to try and upset TSM here in the first round of playoffs, but it's FBI. He will fall down, but Closer is going to finish the job. True to his name, alongside Damonte, Bjergsen can only sit and watch as the Nexus crumbles, as Golden Guardians will finish off their sweep of TSM.
What a series from the underdogs here, not only taking down TSM, dealing Doublelift his first best-of-5 loss in years and years and years, sweeping them, knocking them in the lower bracket, dismantling them in Game 3. These guys have got to be so happy. This team has never won a series in playoffs before, and they have done it in resounding fashion with an upset and with a complete dismantling of TSM in that final game.
Yep, and again, important to note, despite TSM's loss here, due to the nature of the 18-player format, there will still be a chance for TSM to play in the lower bracket, but Golden Guardians, now a lot scarier than the upper bracket teams were thinking. This is not the result anyone was expecting, and certainly not the fashion that people were expecting. And I think if you predicted a Golden Guardians win, you would not have given this scoreline.
Not a 3-0, right? You know, everyone on the analyst desk predicted this was going to be a TSM win. You know, there were some people obviously that put it close. You know, on the dive we talked about it. We all thought it was going to be a TSM win. So everyone, you know, kind of writing off Golden Guardians, thinking, hey, there's a chance for an upset, but if they're to do it, it'll be a close series, not like this. But they really did, you know, wrestle victory from the jaws of defeat in the first 2 games, finding creative ways to win. You know, finding outplays. You know, Hauntzer coming up huge with the Mordekaiser 1v1 on Doublelift in that Game 1. Getting them the Baron, and then subsequent game-ending play, the triple TP in Game 2, and then Game 3, let's be honest, just wasn't close. TSM looked out of sorts. You know, Doublelift and Treatz got peeled apart in that bottom lane. They got crushed. Bjergsen was playing more of a facilitating role on this tank Sett, and he wasn't there to bail them out, because in the first 2 games he had been playing out of his mind to keep TSM in the games, and they didn't have him to rely on. No one else stepped up to fill that role, and it felt like without Bjergsen on the carry, TSM completely fell apart. Yeah,
Golden Guardians, just a very clean-looking series by the end of it all. But for more on their first playoff win and their sweep, the Tigers will be in the Verizon post-game interview with the Golden Guardians bot laner, FBI.
Verizon knows how to build unlimited right. You start with America's most awarded network, the one with unbeatable reliability 13 times in a row.
This network is one less thing I have to worry about.
Then you give people more plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need.
Verizon Unlimited plan is so reasonable, they could stay on for the rest of their lives.
You include the best in entertainment, and you offer it all starting at $35, because everyone deserves the best. This is Unlimited built right, only on Verizon.
Welcome back to the LCS, where Golden Guardians have completed the sweep 3-0 over TSM to make the first best-of-5 victory in their organization's history. Cannot say enough how impressed I am by today's performance out of the Golden Guardians. Mark, coming to you first.
Yeah, especially FBI. I think we'll have an interview with him soon, and I can't wait to hear from him. But he was the person stealing the spotlight this entire series for me. I just could not believe how hard he took over the early game and how well he played team fights.
I mean, come on. We always talk about FBI. Let's give a little bit of love to huhi. That guy was just massive. The fact that he's blind picking Morgana in all these games, and even in the last game when TSM chose red side, they banned the Morg because they didn't want to take it away or deal with the first pick Morg, because I think, honestly, Golden Guardians bot difference, they could have probably picked any champion bot and made it work.
Well, it always makes me happy when I see you guys fighting to give praise to different members of a team, because it at least indicates that that team stepped up in some way, surpassed expectations, and that's what you want to see, Crumbs. When we enter the postseason, you want teams going upward and to the right. We want to see improvement on improvement.
Exactly. Up and to the right. That's what's been going on with FBI in the past few years. That's what we saw at the beginning of the show, where we saw how much he's improved since last summer. The one thing I will say, I do think the bot lane really played well, right? They definitely showed up, but what the heck was going on with TSM's bottom lane? I mean, the TP into the bottom lane from Doublelift without purchasing the item, that's actually the second time we've seen that happen this split. Like, that is not even... That is such an outrageous mistake to make.
It's called tilt.
We're all watching Crumbs' brain break right now as he tries to figure this out.
It's called FBI coming down there, smacking the hell out of him, and he's shook. He's like, "What's going on?" Yeah. I'm not used to this.
Not without criticism to be thrown, of course, to the losing team. But I want to dive into this third and final game here with a couple replays, because of out of Golden Guardians, it felt like in some ways the most decisive of the games in the series. About 15 minutes into the game, the first of the big team fights coming through, a big 3-0 for Golden Guardians around the mid lane.
This is where TSM needs to fight, right? They know they have the third stroll coming up, and then immediately Bjergsen's flashing. It's like, oh, try to get him, but... Well, the Tahm Kench does a great job in devouring and making sure that the team fight plays out the way that Golden Guardians' comp wants to play out, front to back, Caitlyn, Orianna in the backside. And when this happened, you already knew that it was going to be a Golden Guardians win. From that position, with how quickly they were getting those dragons, there's nothing that TSM could have done.
And Hauntzer's Mordekaiser was actually great there. Anytime Bjergsen wanted to go in and try and get an ult onto FBI, he was there ulting him into the death realm so that Bjergsen could never ult the target he wanted back into the team. It was actually a really great counter pick in that sense. I don't know if they knew that was going to be the plan, but as soon as team fights broke out, Hauntzer knew exactly what to do. He had a great Mordekaiser in game 1 as well.
Yeah, the Mord was sick, and I have something that just hurts inside when I see your best player be put on Sett. Now, yeah, a lot of people can play Sett mid lane, but usually you do that if you're trying to make sure that your mid lane doesn't run it down, if you're trying to make sure that you have a way to engage, if your team is really uncomfortable with setting up a fight. But putting Bjergsen on the Sett and then Spica on Nidalee, you're giving Spica the opportunity to carry when you have Bjergsen, like, that to me was just bonkers. But Golden Guardians did not hesitate to see, hey, there's a Sett mid, I can go Cole mid and just get away with a very easy laning phase for the Orianna.
I also have to call attention to the action around the Drake. Came 22 minutes in, because the first 2 games, while of course Golden Guardians did still lock up the victories, we were calling out in multiple cases the summoner spell usage of Smite around the Dragon. Golden Guardians this time around saying, we're going to be the ones set up. We're not even going to make or allow this to be a conversation.
And yeah, this was a really hard fight, because it was almost lost because huhi gets caught, and then immediately after FBI's caught. But Hauntzer kind of saves it a bit by stealing Bjergsen, and then probably the best part is just the fact that the human eye is attracted to movement, and what you're going to see is the Orianna ball disappearing, and you cannot see it anymore now.
Where'd it go?
It's going to move one more time.
Oh, it's on the health bar.
It moves one more time. It's gone. No one sees it. TSM doesn't see it. Boom. Gets in. Closer gets a smite steal and a double kill.
It's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
It's pretty, don't move. They can't see you.
If you just don't move the ball, they'll walk on top of it eventually. Yeah, Damonte had a pretty great series too, all things considered. I think had a bit of a struggle in game 1.
Portobello!
Yeah, most
Greatest Portobello kill ever.
Yeah, Damonte was not a problem, though, at all. He stacked up just fine versus Bjergsen. Fell a little bit behind in laning phase, but was always playing team fights really well.
Now, probably there was a bit of a theme here in this series, and I know it's something you keyed into. Drake priority out of Golden Guardians.
Yeah, the meta right now is stacking Drakes, and Golden Guardians hasn't been a team that's been doing it very much. Even though FBI and huhi have been just dominant in lane, it hasn't been a priority. As you can see, the regular season was 719. That's their average dragon take. This series was 552. That's almost a minute and a half faster that they're taking Drakes. And what this does is put so much pressure on the enemy team to come to them, and it also makes your team super calm. You know exactly where your jungle is going to be in 5 minutes. You know exactly what you're fighting for, so it makes your game plan so smooth.
I don't think, though, that moving forward they can get away with this because the bot lane difference that you had to get those dragons so consistently and so early was massive against a team that has a more stable bot lane. Those dragon timers are going to be pushed.
They have had it all split, though.
Who's going to be a more stable bot lane?
This was so one-sided.
Yeah, but who's going to, like, Doublelift was the second best performing laning AD carry in the league, and he got dismantled.
Not today.
Not today, but maybe that's just because FBI is popping off in playoffs.
Well,
like
their opponents would be like what, Sven and Vulcan and and Tactical. I think they'll do better than Doublelift and Treatz today.
I would hope so.
And we'll have to see. Only time will tell. But it's great to see a Golden Guardians shift in focus. That 719 mark that you had called out probably for the regular split was the second slowest out of all of our teams for that first Drake control. So again, a huge step up for them in the first round of the playoffs. I did just receive word due to some technical difficulties. The interview is not ready, or rather will not be happening. But that does mean that we get to move along and award our player of the series. While all members of Golden Guardians were clearly firing on all cylinders today to pick up that upset sweep, player of the series has got to go to the man in the bot lane, FBI, for his dominant performance. I don't think that's going to catch anyone by surprise.
Nope. Took Doublelift apart in lane phase, basically all 3 games. Eventually had to force them onto red side because the first pick Caitlyn wasn't working, and then they had their own chance at Caitlyn. And if it was just laning phase, that'd be one thing, but he was also crushing team fights.
Yeah, I just want to watch him here because he got the initial black shield from huhi, which is actually really clutch to avoid the second knockup from the kick. And then this is that patented aggro flash from him.
Good flash taunt by Broken Blade, but then the flash afterwards by the AD carry is something you never expect to have him zero out your mid laner. A huge team fight out of FBI. The confidence of this kid, the way it has kind of grown, developed over the year has been just phenomenal to watch. And maybe, you know, for once we're seeing someone challenge that title of top ADC in the region.
Look at that forward percentage as it grows with the confidence as the game proceeds. Like 47% forward percentage. They're
That's
at this
unreal.
all day.
Yeah.
Remember, this is not against a bottom team or anything. Like, this is like one of the best bot lanes in NA. Let's not say best anymore. Can't do that. But yeah, Doublelift has been such a performer for so many years. So for him to defeat him in a playoff match where we said Doublelift gets a playoff buff and it's Summer Split Doublelift as well. Like, there's no more. What are you waiting for? He got Kalista banned against him every game. He was ahead in lane every single game, and then he's outperforming in team fights.
Yeah,
that's pretty insane resume for your first playoff win.
I mean, first for the org as well. I mean, FBI has, I think, been the player who stepped up the most for this team this year and helped elevate them to this level. I don't think, you know, it would have worked without him. Basically, I think, you know, cementing himself as the best marksman in the league right now. We'll see if he can hold on to that title as the playoffs continue, but this was a definite performance to keep in people's mind.
First series is in the books. If we pull up the bracket, we see that TSM have dropped to the lower bracket where they will be facing off against Dignitas on Saturday, whereas Golden Guardians, they await their opponent next week, again, pending tomorrow's matchup and then seeing who Team Liquid and Cloud9 will choose. Playoffs continue, though, tomorrow as FlyQuest and Evil Geniuses will face off in another good versus evil rivalry matchup. I feel like these teams have met so many times already this year.
Good versus evil. Round whatever.
Yeah, couldn't have scripted it better.
Round? 6th round?
No, including spring, they've played like 12 times or something.
Exactly.
I think they're like 6 and 6 against each other.
Some astronomical amount of times. FlyQuest coming in as the definitive higher seed in this one. Crumbs, you're actually one of the analysts who was calling out the belief that you think FlyQuest can make the run to the finals. So give me a brief hit about tomorrow's matchup. Why so much confidence against a team like Evil Geniuses?
Well, right now, my confidence in that specific matchup is more that Evil Geniuses has been really struggling. They have not found a lot of consistency. And FlyQuest is the team that thrives against teams that don't necessarily have an identity ready to go. They've got a very stable mid 2v2 with the supportive style Centauran as well as PoE, and those two I think are going to just do so much work for the rest of the lineup. And this is playoffs. This is actually also the time where Ignar gets to show off, because the regular season Ignar is just waiting for playoffs so that he can show off on his hard engaged champion. So I think that advantage that FlyQuest will have against EG in the lanes should just easily translate into consistent wins.
Well, there you have it. Between FlyQuest, EG, winner will get picked between 4TL and Cloud9 in round 2 of the playoffs. That's going to do it, though, for us here on the analyst desk on day 1. If you need more league action, keep in mind that the First Academy Playoff Series is kicking off shortly, so don't go anywhere if you want more league action. Now, on behalf of myself, the casters, the entire remote broadcast crew, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more of the LCS Playoffs. Good night.